what? She was just like, I wish that everyone could see what I just did with my face and body, but like, that was stupid. That was the worst part of a bad film.
And welcome to Cruise Next, your favourite movie podcast.
Ew, don't say that.
It is.
No.
It is.
Whose is it?
They told me.
It's the people.
Our one listener told me.
All right, go on, Mum. Thanks.
It's their favourite podcast, just below my other podcast. My name is James Albarn, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Elsa Grace. How are you, Elsa?
Good. Did you forget my name there for a second?
I didn't.
Did you?
I didn't.
Did you?
No, I was just thinking, are we good friends?
The secret's out. We actually hate
tense.
each other.
It's been quite tense in the build-up to
we
the podcast.
we do this on opposite sides of London because I can't stand his stupid little face. I'm good. Yeah, James, I'm good. How
As
are
you can
How are
tell,
you doing?
Elsa is getting into the Cruella spirit.
I am. I'm no longer Estella. I am Cruella. Oh, this film, James. Oh, should we get into it?
Yeah, so if you haven't listened to us before, then you will know. Well, you won't know. I don't know why I said you will know. If you haven't listened to us before, you won't have a bloody clue. But the premise of the show is very simple. We watch a film. We go into the members of crew, pick out a film from their other filmography films.
What is happening?
I've had wine.
What's happening to you?
I don't know. And we have arrived at Cruella, courtesy of the stunt performer Nina Armstrong, who was also... What? Is that not the name?
No, I just don't know what's going on with this intro. I feel like we need to do a disclosure, full disclosure. We have had a glass of wine.
It's only one glass, though. It's not... I'm on my
Well,
second,
you wouldn't think it would be that much of an issue, but you slurred your way through that, pal. You slid down it like a winter's morning.
We arrived here via the stunt performer of National Treasure, Nina Armstrong. And that is how we have arrived at Cruella.
From the very beginning, I realized I saw the world differently than everyone else. That didn't sit well with some people. But I wasn't for everyone. I guess they were always scared that I'd be a psycho. Sorry now. But a new day brings new opportunities. Sorry now. And I was ready to make a statement. How does the saying go? I am woman, hear me roar.
Elsa, tell us a little bit about Cruella.
I only hope I can do it justice after that wonderful introduction.
Thank you, as I take another sip of wine.
Yeah, maybe get on the agua,
I think
buddy.
this is going to be a good podcast.
Let's keep it PG for Disney, shall we? Right, yeah, let's get into it. Cruella. I was going to say Cruella de Vil, but no, they've gone edgy. They've just kept the first name. Directed by Craig Gillespie. Came out in 2021. Interestingly, I heard very good things about this film before I saw it. Essentially, it's like an origins film, James, isn't it? It covers
Correct.
the start of the life of Cruella. We find out how she goes from Estella to Cruella because that was not her God-given name.
Because no one in films anymore can have just a name that they were given but have you noticed this trend?
No.
There's a trend at the moment, particularly in these origin films, where the character's name that we're all familiar with can't just be their name. We have to give a reason for why they're called that. They did it with the Han Solo Star Wars movie, and it really bugged me that he wasn't just called Han Solo. They made some reason as to why he was called Han Solo, and it's like, why can't they just be called that name?
No. Natasha Romanoff is always Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow in the Marvel films.
I'm not saying that in every film, but there is a trend. There's definitely a trend.
There's a trend,
and it's annoying
in the Han Solo film.
Because essentially, Cruella de Vil, from what we are to take from this, is named after a car.
No.
Her surname is after a car.
No. Okay.
Yes.
Her surname is after a car.
Yes.
But the rest of her name is her alter ego because she is, in fact, potentially schizophrenic. And we basically, we follow her from birth through her young years, very troubled girl. We find out why she becomes evil. It's a bit of a Joker kind of scenario. She tries, reasonably hard to be good, but the world just won't let her.
Although I will argue, we'll get into this, but does she ever become evil?
Can a girl do an intro around here, James?
Sorry.
So, I don't. Well, open to interpretation. We'll get into it. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we talked about earlier. I'm just kidding. We really do get along. So, yes, we follow her. She becomes a thief. She grows up a ragtag orphan on the streets of London. Sort of go from the
blimey.
late 50s and then into the 70s as a young woman, a young 20-something woman, just wants to make it in the fashion world.
There's a brilliant line when she's still a child, when she joins the ragtag gang. She goes, I just wanted to be a fashion designer, but now I'm a thief.
But a new day brings new opportunities. Or at least a couple of petty thieves. Horace.
Sir, please could you spare some change?
No, sorry.
And Jasper.
Morning. Stay back.
Horace was generally annoying.
Ow! Go back to your family, little girl.
Jasper was the insightful one.
She has no family.
Which was also annoying. And Wink was just plain friendly. Again, annoying.
Buddy!
Oi!
Come on, Horace.
But they were a better option than being in jail.
Stop! Police!
We see how she meets her friends, Horace and Jasper, and how they all become thieves. And then we see her join the House of Baroness, which is a couture fashion line, become a designer for the Baroness, who is played by just the incredible, the almighty Emma Thompson. Dame Emma? Or is she just Emma still? If she's
We're
still
Googling.
just Emma, then Your Royal Highness Lizzie, please. What's going on?
Dame.
It is Dame.
Dame Emma Thompson.
Well done, Liz. So Dame
One
Emma
of Britain's
Thompson.
most acclaimed actresses, according to Wikipedia, which I would agree with.
It helps to have that fibre optic at your fingertips, doesn't it, James?
Super fast.
So, yeah, essentially we see how she becomes Cruella. And I have to say, I actually thought about seeing this in the cinema because it's got an incredible cast. I had friends who did go and see it and they said that it was really good. I saw like kind of screen grabs of some of the fashion in it. And I don't buy Vogue. And I know you couldn't tell from looking at me, but I think nice clothes are nice. But yeah, it just fell so short for me, this film. I have to say, not a big fan. I don't know. What do you think?
I actually loved it. I struggled with
That's the
this.
wine talking.
I struggled with this film. I don't ever want to be like completely negative about anything because we know how difficult it is to make good things. this podcast, for example. But
we try and we try.
no, but there is like a lot of stuff in this film that is great that we can get into, like particularly the costumes are particularly like brilliant, and Emma Thompson like is undeniably just like steals every scene that she's in. But it was a real struggle for me, and I think part of that is down to the fact that it's over 2 hours long.
Oh my God, this film was so long. It was so long.
And unnecessarily so. This could have been 90 minutes and out. Like, it did not need a 2 hour, 14-minute running time. Like, and there are definitely sequences where I was watching it where... So for anyone who doesn't know, my day job is as an editor and filmmaker. Now, that doesn't make me an expert, obviously. That's not what I'm saying. But it does...
Don't at him, yeah?
But I was watching this film and being like, some of these sequences could just be so much shorter if they'd have just cut more. And I'm usually someone who doesn't actually like too much cutting in a film. Like it can be distracting and annoying if it's too frenetic. But this needed some cuts. Like there were way too many sequences that just went on. So many
like montages, man.
That weren't even like montage length. You know what I mean? Like there's an early one where she's describing...
No, so the first one is when she's a schoolgirl and she keeps ending up in the schoolmaster's office.
Yeah, that goes on for a bit long.
So long.
But then this second one, the second like major montage after is when she's like grown up, and there's a thing that so there's voiceover in this film provided by Emma Stone as Cruella, and there's a sequence in which she keeps saying design and steal, and then design and steal and design, because she would design outfits and then they would go and steal stuff in those outfits as like disguises, and that's how she's a brilliant designer. Yeah,
we got it after the first three.
But also the gaps between them were so like that should have been like design, steal, design, steal, design, steal, like end of montage. Like it would have been that could have been a really cool, interesting, fun montage, but instead it was like design, and steal.
I feel like that was sufficient.
Who are you? You look vaguely familiar.
I look stunning. I don't know about familiar, darling.
Your hair, is it real?
Black and white ball. I like to make an impact.
Right. What was your name?
Cruella.
Oh. That's quite fabulous. And you designed this?
You did, actually. 1965 collection.
Oh, no wonder I love it. It's mine.
I fixed it.
So I actually had a look in terms of the runtime, and Inception was just 14 minutes longer than this film. And that is a famously very long film that flies by. This did not need to be that long.
Well, yeah,
there was not enough in this film to warrant it being this length.
Inception has enough like sort of complex ideas that need to be conveyed to the audience.
There was one idea. She's a hard done by designer whose boss killed her mum. We get it. Let's talk about Emma Stone's accent. Because I can't stop hearing it. It's in my head.
I was trying to work out kind of what she was... Is she trying to do the Cruella de Vil voice that you hear in like the animated film and like the Glenn Close portrayal?
Drawl of a British RP, darling. It's like that. And I just actually, do you know what? So I didn't think it was awful. Like I do, Emma Stone, she could do a decent accent. Actress. Yeah, she's done British before. She's done Southern. She's done I think that she's fairly good with accents. But this one,
like her British accent in The Favourite was flawless. Like
really, really good.
Yeah,
really good. But in this one, I actually think I would have preferred to see. Maybe this was too much for old Emma, but I think it would have been cooler. First of all, why is that little ragtag scrap who didn't go to school and grew up on the street? Why is she talking like the Queen of England? Like, surely she should be a bit Cockney. She should be a bit more like Jasper and Horace. She grew up with them, you know? And her mum wasn't that posh. And like, what, she was in school for like 10 minutes and we saw the whole thing. Like, she
did
should
sound like Emma Thompson. And was that the point? Because Emma Thompson, spoiler alert, but it ends up being her mum. But then you don't learn an accent from your mum. Yeah, I know. That's what I mean.
Obscene. Right, but so that's what I mean. I think that she should have had like a Cockney accent, a bit Oliver, you know? And then when she's trying to sort of be something that she's not in the House of Baroness, potentially that could have been a really good like character differentiation between Cruella and Estella, where she's being like...
Yeah, because there's a while where she's being Estella, she's sort of doing the day job as Estella, and then at night she's being Cruella. And could it have been that her real accent, her accent as Estella, is that sort of Cockney? And to be fair, that like the problem with the film is it doesn't come off as intentional, because for a while there is a little bit of a difference in her accent. It kind of changes a little bit. Like she's kind of softer in some scenes, and then in other scenes she's just like, I'm Cruella.
Just like that.
Yeah, it could have been a thing where as Estella, it's not her normal voice, but then when she becomes Cruella, she puts on this other voice too. Because especially at the start, like, because there's a good period of time where Emma Thompson isn't supposed to know that Cruella and Estella are the same people, even though it's pretty obvious.
Right.
So could the voice have been something else to disguise? You know, like in Batman, where Batman puts on a voice. I am the Batman. Yeah, exactly like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Please stop applauding. That's fine. No, I agree. And I mean, like, there sort of different... There was physicality. There was differences in her physicality. So things like when she's Estella, she very much kind of like looks under the frame of her glasses at people, and she's quite timid. You know, when she joins the House of Baroness, and she says sorry a lot. And she's always, you know, excuse me, like trying to get in between people. And then obviously when she's Cruella, the glasses come off and she's, you know, bold and bolshy, and I want to be like you. Like, she's very, you know, so like, yes, there were differences, and maybe we're wanting too much from a Disney's children film. I also noted that Mark Strong, who's the kind of henchman to the Baroness, love Mark Strong.
Everyone loves Mark Strong.
Huh? Everyone likes Mark Strong. Like, that ruined the Kingsman for me. Spoiler alert. Anyone who's seen that second Kingsman film, that was shit. Whoever wrote that in. Not a fan. Anyway, I didn't really understand why they made such a such an effort to kind of disguise the Baroness of when her mother is killed to when she sees her in the context of the House of Baroness Couture. Like, they're clearly
pretty obvious it was the same person.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's because they're trying to disguise it for children. Whereas me, a grown adult woman, I'm like, well, I know that's Dame Emma. I know it is. But children probably didn't know that. But I felt like Mark Strong, they were just like, here's Mark Strong, and here's Mark Strong, and here's Mark Strong.
And then here's Mark Strong with a really bad wig. Do you remember that bit?
Was that at the start?
No, it was the bit where he was telling Estella about her past and about how she was the Baroness's daughter.
Oh, God,
and the
you lost me at that point.
The Baroness gives Mark Strong her newborn baby and tells him to go...
Deal with it.
Kill the baby?
No, she's like, deal with it. And then he's in a really bad wig. But you still know it's Mark Strong.
Oh yeah, you still know it's Mark Strong.
Yeah, I just think like there was no... I understood that we had that, you know, like terrible scene of the tragic loss of her mother in the beginning at the paws of the Dalmatians. But then...
Which was stupid.
We'll get into that. And then you're supposed to transition and to like the bit where you're like, oh my God, I think that's her. I think that's that woman what killed her mum. Like, but there was never that moment because it was like, well, yes, obviously there is Mark Strong, and there.
I didn't read it like that. What I read it as is in the start, you're seeing everything through the child's eyes, and she doesn't see clearly that it's Emma Thompson.
Hmm.
And so for me, it was less of the audience isn't supposed to know that the Baroness killed her mother. It's more that the character doesn't know, and they're showing that through the cinematography that is shot from like the child's perspective.
Right.
That's how I read it, but I may be wrong. Like you might be right in terms of they were trying to, maybe I was being kind because I thought, well, it's clearly Emma Thompson, so they can't be thinking.
Well, yeah, but
this
I
is a
think that,
twist.
it's a children's film, and I think that for the children, they were trying to get their little minds whirring and be like, oh, I think that's the same person. But it was just a bit, oh God, it was just a bit beige, wasn't it? It just felt very low effort, a lot of this film. I just didn't enjoy it. Should we talk about the dogs killing her mum and why you think that's so ridiculous?
It is ridiculous.
I think I'm going to disagree with you, but fine.
Okay.
Why?
Okay. It's made slightly less ridiculous by the end. When you see that Emma Thompson uses a whistle to direct the dogs to do what they did. But in the opening scene of the film, it just looks like the dogs ran out and they jumped up at the woman and she got pushed off the cliff.
Right.
And I just thought, and if Evie was in a state to well, not in a state, that makes her sound like she's like passed out or something. If Evie could hear me, she would back me up on this. We both sat there and were like, that was stupid. I think we may have even laughed out loud at the dogs pushing her mother off the cliff. And it just came off as like funny and a bit silly rather than like tragic that her mum had. And like, why did it need to be the dogs pushing up? Why couldn't Emma Thompson have pushed her off? You know what I mean? Because
Cruella de Vil makes coats out of Dalmatians. We need to know where her hatred for Dalmatians stems from. And it's because they frog leaped her off a cliff, her mum. But by the end, she doesn't hate Dalmatians because she keeps the 3 Dalmatians that are there. She doesn't kill them. Right, but we're waiting for the sequel, aren't we?
She gives Dalmatian puppies to Caven Novak and...
Yeah, but she then goes on to like steal them and try and make coats out of them. We just haven't seen that film yet. That part hasn't yet happened.
But I feel like you could have had the fact that her hatred of Dalmatians comes from the fact that the Baroness had Dalmatians, who is her most hated person in the world, rather than like making it that the Dalmatians kind of killed her mum.
No, because there are people I hate and I don't hate their dogs.
I just think it was like, come on.
Okay, so
come on.
as someone who has been knocked into a pond, a lake, and an escalator going down by different dogs, I can tell you right now that stuff does happen. It does happen.
But do you agree it came across as a bit funny?
No, I didn't think it was funny.
Like
I fully I gasped. I gasped out loud for her poor mother. I did. I went, oh.
I laughed out loud.
No, I didn't laugh.
I thought
because also those Dalmatians look vicious. They were angry Dalmatians. And I was like, oh God, if you would,
Well, then the Dalmatians should have mauled her to death. That should have been, I mean,
it's
obviously
a children's film.
They couldn't, obviously.
Right.
But,
Take note, Mr. Disney.
Then I'd buy it more. If like her mum was torn apart by angry dogs, then I'd be like, okay, I get it.
That's what you wanted from this.
No, I just think that the pushing off the cliff was silly, and it could have just been Emma Thompson pushing her off the cliff instead, because that's what she does to Emma Stone at the end of the film. She pushes Estella off the cliff. And like, so that would have mirrored it properly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Emma Stone's like, are you going to push me off the cliff?
You're not going to push me off the cliff, are you?
And Dame Emma goes, no.
Yeah.
We should have done this film.
You're not going to push me off. clear, are you?
You're so funny, dear. So funny. I love it.
Idiot.
I think we should probably mention the costumes.
Oh,
this
right. Yeah,
Because,
fine.
to
Because
be
that's the
fair-
strongest part about this movie.
It is, though.
That and Horace and Jasper. I very much enjoyed Horace and Jasper's performance. You're making a face. Oh, how can you not like them? What do you mean? It was that and what's the dog called? Buddy.
Wink.
The disappointment in Buddy's eyes.
Which one? What
After
as in
that
Estella's
fashion
dog
show.
or the-
Yeah, Estella's dog. After the fashion show when they're walking away and they're like, nice of us to say thank you, wouldn't it? And then
You've got the accent spot on because his was bad as well.
and then you say, no, wait, who? Jasper's. It's-
Horace's.
Horace.
It's terrible, yeah.
He's American, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, you see Buddy and he like sort of looks back for her and like honestly, that nearly broke me. It really did.
I
The
found the dogs
disappointment in that
distracting a
terrier's
little.
face. Okay, very quickly before we get into the fashion, why were the dogs CGI dogs?
That's why I found them distracting. But in some scenes they weren't.
In like one scene
In
when
a
she's
couple of
on the
scenes where
couch in
yeah.
Mark Strong's house.
She would like there's a great, but that's probably because there were certain scenes where they definitely weren't CGI, and it was mainly scenes in which like Emma Stone had to hold the dog or like pet the dog, and that kind of interaction is probably quite difficult to
But
do.
the little girl all the way through holding the dog and all of this, little Estella, that was
Had
a
the
CGI
CGI
puppy
dog,
and
yeah.
it killed me. I was just like, I'm sorry, a budget film of this size, you couldn't train a puppy
It
to
would've been
hold a
cheaper.
wallet in its mouth.
It would have been cheaper.
Oh, God.
Honestly, using
It
a
would've
real
been.
dog
It
would have been cheaper.
Oh, such a nightmare. I hated it and
And
it ruined
the
it.
CGI dogs, for the most part, looked kind of. If they were generally, if the dogs were doing stuff, like if they were running, then they generally looked all right. I thought, especially if it was like a wide shot. As soon as you went close, and someone was holding a CGI dog,
But most of them were close. I thought.
it looked weird, and it was very distractingly. Obviously CGI. It was very well done CGI.
Was it?
But it was very obviously CGI.
I don't think it was that well done. I disagree.
They looked a bit cartoony
Like, okay, I know
because they were
this
trying
is
to give the dogs emotion. I think.
this is dated, and so like no one go and watch this now and be like, you're wrong, Elsa. I know I'm probably going to be wrong now, but if you watched it back in the day, a film that I saw in the time that blew my mind on CGI for like animals was
You say Avatar.
I'm not.
We're
I'm
ending
not.
this now.
I'm not.
Cats
the
and dogs.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The Fair on Aslan. I remember seeing it at the time and being like, "Oh my god, they've done well that. That looked really, really good." But the Fair on these dogs, we're like what, 13 years on, really poor. I just thought it was so poor. I didn't think it was good. Have you is one of our 3 crew members for next week? Is one of them an animator? Because if it is, you did your best. I'm very sorry. Can't wait to
No.
see what else you did.
No, none of them are.
Okay, good. Right, should we do fashion?
Yeah. So
Fashion.
Jenny Bevan, who's a bit of a legend within the film industry, she famously received a BAFTA like a couple of years ago, and everyone was like, "Fucking yeah, Jenny Bevan," because like I think everyone loves her. She's a bit like a
Helena Bonham Carter of the fashion world.
yeah, everyone likes her, and that is one thing about this film that you just watch and you go, "That is terrifically done." Is the costumes. And it's not only the costumes that people are wearing, there's all sorts of couture fashion throughout the film that has clearly been like designed by the costume department. And I just, yeah, that is the standout of this film is the costumes because they
Yeah.
are properly good. And actually that's probably where I enjoyed the film the most was it was sort of semi-montage where Cruella kept turning up to the Baroness's fashion events and upstaging her with her different costumes and entrances.
Yeah.
And that was probably my favourite bit of the film
But it was very Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, I mean, I thought going into this, is this Devil Wears Prada just with Cruella de Vil?
Yeah, and do you know what as well? Cruella didn't come out until 1 hour into the movie. We had to put up with wet Estella for an hour. It was painful, and her horrible, like, dirty overall things as what like a janitor was she?
At Liberty.
At Liberty.
Although,
yeah.
that's another thing I liked. Jamie Demetriou's performance at Liberty as the manager at Liberty.
Yeah,
that was quite fun.
where he does like the
Yeah, he was
good.
They let him just sort of
run with it,
and he did very well.
But yeah, the fashion was amazing. One of my favorite dresses personally was where she's like offloaded out of the bin truck.
Yes.
And then she sort of pops up, jumps on the back, and her dress is made up of the...
Yeah, that was very good.
I thought that was quite a good one.
I also liked the mask that's sort of like painted on her, which says like the future written on it. I thought that was cool.
I definitely thought it said "fuck you," which I did think, what, Disney's got edgy. But yeah, the future.
Actually, do you feel like, here's the point, do you feel like this movie is a little bit of a wasted opportunity in terms of the cast they've got? And obviously it's a Disney film, so like they're always going to have a good cast of people in it. But like if you look at the cast, I mean, obviously Emma Stone, Emma Thompson, Mark Strong, Joel Fry and Paul Walter Hauser, who we touched upon. It wasn't their performances that I had a problem with. It was their characters did nothing for me.
I don't know, I disagree.
John McCrea, I think that's how you pronounce it, as Artie. He was quite fun. And then you've got like Kavan Novak and Jamie Demetriou pop up, and I just feel like you've got such a great cast of people, and it feels like a wasted opportunity in so many ways.
Oh, in what way? Like, what would you have done differently? We don't need the whole list, but
well, just because, like, I think
I also can't believe that you didn't like Joel Fry's performance in this. I love him.
I said it. I don't think it's their performances that are a problem. I think it's their characters. Like, their characters didn't interest me, really. Okay. And I felt like a lot of the, you know, because like Paul Walter Hauser especially was supposed to sort of be the comic relief as Horace, and not a lot of his like bits just fell flat for me. They just didn't really land. For
kids. Like the bit at the end, the funeral.
Still find like stuff for kids funny. The bit at the funeral was funny.
Yeah. Well, where he's crying and he's like, "She's not dead," and he's like, "Yeah, that was good. But it just gets to you."
I like that.
Oh, see, I was going to be like, well, obviously that's not funny, but a kid would have laughed at that.
See, I like that.
Yeah, now I understand what you mean by that you laugh at children's humour.
And I found his accent incredibly distracting because the kid didn't sound like that. So why did he sound like that when he was older? It just didn't make sense.
I mean, the kids.
Sorry?
Did he not as a kid?
He didn't sound.
Well,
he didn't sound like this. Did you want it? Would you want it?
No, because he was a little choir boy back then, wasn't he?
Hey, that was him in the whole film.
That was him in the fountain as a kid.
Yeah, I know. That was him in the entire film.
Right, that's what I mean, though. He grew up like the kid grew up. They clearly did a lot of work together, them two.
I don't know. I just feel like especially Kavan Novak, who is a very funny performer, had nothing to do in this film as Roger. Maybe he'll have more to do in the sequel because it feels like they're setting up that. And
he was a bit slapsticky.
Hopefully he was a little bit, but like
some moments of slapstick.
I don't know. It just felt like
files, tripping over the whatever. Like
it just felt like, why have you got Kavan Novak to do this? Like it just, I don't know. It felt like a missed opportunity for me.
Yeah, they should have cast someone boring and shit. That would have been better.
No, it just, you know what I mean though. Like the whole film feels a bit like a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Because like Emma Thompson,
I just didn't get it. I really wanted to like this film. I really did. I just didn't get it. I just couldn't. I couldn't. I just couldn't. I couldn't get into it. I zoned out at 1 minute. I went on Deliveroo. I came back. I hadn't ordered anything. Like, do you know what? It was just one of those.
It was still going on.
Still going on. Yeah. I just couldn't. made some sausages. Like, it just didn't end. This film didn't end.
Did you get bored?
Yes, several times.
What did you find more boring? This or the breakup?
This, because it was longer. At least in the breakup, you're like, which one's going to get naked next? Like, you know, something there.
There's no.
Is he going to sing
nudiness.
again? Is he like, it's just, yeah. I will, just before we move on for Jasper and Horace though, it really bothered me. And again, I've sort of mentioned this before with Mark Strong, but she's rocking up to all these different events, like upstaging Dame Emma, wearing whatever she's wearing, but usually in a disguise, usually as Cruella, or always as Cruella. The Horace and Jasper were just Horace and Jasper in every single scene. And like, when they tried to steal the whatever, they didn't have balaclavas or anything. They were just Horace and Jasper.
Also,
like,
you would remember the people that tried to steal your jewelry.
yeah, you would remember
their faces, you know?
the men that crashed your party with a dog rat. And like, you would remember these people, but they kept just rocking up as their born selves.
I mean, it's not like they were like hiding away either. It was like there's one bit where Estella goes and stands on Emma Thompson's car, and Horace literally goes, or Jasper literally, I can't remember which one's which. That's
Both
part
of
of the
them.
problem. Jasper literally goes up to the door and like tapes in Emma Thompson, so like goes up to her car window, and she's like looking directly at him.
Yeah, they both do that. One's on one side, one's on the other side. That's what I mean. It's just like a bit stupid. And then at the end, apparently it finally clicks for her and she's like, follow those men, and then kidnaps them as bait for Emma. But like,
I'm going to
my
kill
God,
you
it took
now.
her a long time to get to there. Like,
They will be done for your murder.
yeah.
Did they escape prison?
No one's going to believe that. Why not, Emma? I think that's very convincing.
Did they escape prison?
Yeah, she got Wink, the dog, to sneak into the bars, the keys, and they unlocked themselves and left.
I must have missed that bit because suddenly they were out of prison and I didn't quite.
She,
This is what I mean. Like, this
she
film, I just zoned
drove.
out.
She put on a mustache, her
I remember
best
that.
disguise to date,
That was a good disguise.
and then drove into the police station. And then Wink went in and took the keys and let them out.
Why does she just do a mustache? She's like so good at disguises.
She had very little time. And she come from Mark Strong's house, so she had to make do with his fake mustaches and wigs that
Borrowed
he
his
has
wig,
in
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. The moth egg sewn into the dress was a pretty cool
That was
idea.
cool.
I quite
See,
like
there were definitely moments where I was like, huh.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the extent of the reaction. I did laugh out loud at one point in the film. Only
man.
one.
I didn't at any, but oh my God, I'm exhausted just thinking about it. What did you laugh at?
When all the women at the Baroness's final gala dinner
We're wearing the wigs.
were wearing they were dressed as Cruella, and security guards kept coming in and
tackling
tackling
old ladies.
Old ladies. I
Yeah.
laughed at one of the tackles of an old lady. But that was about it.
Yeah, that was all right. That was good.
So there were moments, there were like glimmers of hope. And actually, if this movie had been an hour and a half, if they'd have cut like a bunch of scenes, then maybe this like film could have worked. You know, because there's moments like Jamie Demetriou as the Liberty store owner. He was fun. Emma Thompson in pretty much every scene is great. You know, the moth things flying out of the eating all the dresses.
So you've got half a film here, Craig Gillespie. Well done. Sorry, that's probably a bit harsh. I don't know. I can't remember if I was this harsh on The Breakup, but like, I expected better things from this film than I did The Breakup, and honestly, I rate it the same. Actually,
Will you be watching the sequel? Because they're already
No, I
in
won't.
pre-production for Cruella 2. Actually, okay, so they're already in pre-production, right? But there's still a chance for them to change some things before they go into production. So if the people at Disney are listening now,
yeah.
welcome. get
Nice
me
to
on.
have you.
Let me direct Star Wars. What would you advise them to change for Cruella 2? What's that?
I mean,
called?
pay
Like
for a dialect coach, pay for an accent training for all of your actors. Good God. Apart from Dame Emma, she can have the afternoon off. But the rest of them, they need help. Sort out your animators. We don't want to see any more CGI dogs. Stop that nonsense. Why weren't the Dalmatians CGI? They were real.
No, they were definitely CGI.
No, they messed up. They did their faces with CGI, but the dogs, like when they had to do like growly faces. Oh no, and actually when it lay down by the fire, that was CGI.
Anytime they were running as well towards the camera, they were CGI.
Okay, get some dogs. I know a guy. I'll give you his number. Disney, hit me up. And just get a plot that is max running time, an hour 40 for a Disney film about Cruella de Vil, an hour 40. Thank you very much.
This is probably longer than the 101 Dalmatians film from the 90s, I want to say it came out.
That is a film that I rate because the dogs were real. And
do you think, though, it's because it's difficult to get dogs to do what you want dogs to do? And in this film, the dogs are doing an awful amount of stuff. And so they were like, CGI it. Because the dogs, like, at points literally had to, like, steal things and, like, you know?
So the 1996 101 Dalmatians is an hour and 43 minutes. An hour and perfect.
Good length
what
of
did
time.
I
Same
say?
length of time as the breakup.
Is it?
Yeah, I looked it up.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can be done. Just cut it down. The dogs, no, you absolutely can train dogs to do all of those things. Dogs are really smart and they're famously very trainable, James. I don't know what you're talking about. Did you know my old golden retriever, God rest his soul, bless him, Jasper, he could do laundry with me. That's not a lie. I'd point him to the washing machine and I'd be like, go on.
Is this a bit like the thing earlier, though, when you said that you could read your current golden retriever's mind?
No, I really believe that sometimes we think of each other at the same time across time and space and we feel it. But no, my actual other golden retriever could take the clothes out of the washing machine, he'd put them in the dryer, he'd shut the door and he'd press the right button and he'd put the dryer on to dry the clothes. He was like, the dogs are really trainable, honestly. Dalmatians are really intelligent, but they have a lot of energy. And if you don't train them properly, they can be a bit like mental.
They were in Cruella.
Well, not so mental that they didn't know how to buck a woman off the balcony.
They pushed a lady off a cliff.
Yep, they knew. They knew exactly the right amount of force to do it too, so that they wouldn't go over with her.
Oh, I've just remembered a CGI bit as well. The bit where, you know, when she parachutes off the cliff at the end.
Oh, the water when she lands in the water. Oh, just put her in a pool.
No, but you didn't even need to have the shot. You didn't even need to have
God.
the shot. All we needed is to see she had a parachute. We get it. She's alive. She's got a parachute.
We saw the boat.
We don't need to see her
bloody
land.
body.
Yeah, and you could have just seen. You could have had a shot of Horace in the rowing boat, looking up into the sky, watching as she falls into the. Oh,
honestly,
the water.
it was so poor. It was so poor, and I really don't know how that made it through to the final cut. That was like student film poor.
I feel like you would have watched it. You'd have been sat there in the edit suite and gone, "This CGI is not coming off, is it? Should we just cut that because we don't need that shot?
Yeah,
It's not integral to the story to have that shot, so we'll just cut it."
actually just quite embarrassing from Disney that made it through. That was really awful. Also, I'm just like, the water was bad, the parachute was bad, like the whole CGI of it was bad, but just also, let's just for a second just think about physics. Someone landing in water. First of all, that shaped parachute would not have really done that much to hold her up.
Elsa,
but also landing in water.
Every girl knows that a well-cut skirt is a lifesaver.
But she wouldn't have just like bobbed in the water at her elbows. You would submerge in the water. What? She was just like. I wish that everyone could see what I just did with my face and body, but like, that was stupid. That was the worst part of a bad film.
You're ravishing, Baroness.
Master of understatement, as usual.
to me.
Do you have a light?
Get her.
Right, should we
How many?
rat dogs?
Oh yeah, I forgot all that bit
I
where
like
the dog
the rat
disguises
dog.
the
I
rat.
thought was really funny. That whole bit I thought was quite good. And he's just like, "Oh my god, don't move! There's one behind you." Those dogs were the best actors in it.
How many rat dogs would you, out of 5, would you give Cruella?
All right. Before I say, I would just like to say, I'm shocked, speechless, James, by this. But 7.4 on IMDb, this film got. Yeah. 7.4. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it got 74%. Were they high? They were probably, it was voted by children,
really good
wasn't it?
reviews for it.
I bet it was voted by the 6-year-olds that saw and enjoyed this movie and who have never seen CGI in their life. Right. My vote for this film, I give it 1 rat dog
Whoa.
out of 5.
Isn't that lower than what you gave the break?
I couldn't tell you what I gave the breakup, but
We
I think
definitely need to start a spreadsheet. I said this last time.
I'm getting harsher in my old age. I don't know what to say. I don't have time anymore. And 1 rat dog. It was. I give it 1.5 rat dogs for the fashion, but that's it. I'm not going to be haggled anymore.
The thing is, I'm trying to remember what I gave the Pikachu film that I didn't like.
But I don't think that we can vote. I think you've just got to be true to yourself in the
know,
moment.
I know, but I'm just trying to actually decide in my head what I enjoyed more, because I can't remember what I gave the Pikachu film anyway, so it's irrelevant.
I enjoyed Pikachu more, mostly because it was shorter.
It was shorter, that is true. That does help. I think I'm going to have to agree with you. I think I'm going to have to give it 1.5. And the reason it gets to 1.5 is mainly because of Emma Thompson, Emma Stone at points, because I like Emma Stone, but mainly the costumes. And that for that specific sequence that I mentioned earlier where she keeps turning up to the thing, that I enjoyed. Where she keeps turning up to the Baroness's Gala and overshadowing her. That bit I enjoyed. But for the most part, I was bored. That's the problem. I was bored.
I was bored.
And I shouldn't have been bored. Because I went into this, like I picked it, but you had it in the choice of 3. And when I picked it out of the hat, I was like, oh, I don't want to watch Cruella. Like, I have no desire to see this film at all. Like, I was not going into it with, like, high
I couldn't tell
expectations
from
at all.
your highly enthusiastic response of, oh.
So,
It was the wild card, to be fair.
Yeah.
We had high hopes and it just didn't deliver.
and so I wasn't expecting much, but I at least thought, well, it's a Disney film. Like, it's going to be kind of like fun and fast paced. It's for kids. And like, it's just going to be like, it's going to be a bit of a romp. And I think just like, if you have to shut off your brain, just shut off your brain and watch it and just kind of like let it wash over you and it'll be fine. I was surprised how bored I was, I think.
If it was between Emma Stone and Glenn Close as my Cruella de Vil, I would also drop kick Emma off the cliff. Like, Glenn
But
Close
that
all
was
the way,
thing,
baby.
Like, I could have happily watched and it's nothing against Emma Stone, but I could have happily watched, like, Emma Thompson in this film was more Cruella de Vil to me than Emma Stone. And I guess that was kind of the point.
But I also just, I know it's a kid film, but I also just, I think it would have been better if it was a little bit darker. Like, you know, the bit where she's at the fountain, she's talking to her mum. Honestly, I never really got that connection, why that fountain she talks to, like it's her mum.
Because she had the leaflet for it on the day that they were going to go to London.
Yeah, but and what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, when she's talking to that fountain, she's like, Edward tried to make me Estella, but, I'm Cruella. A bit mad, a bit like, and does that whole bit. I just was like, this could be a really cool monologue if it was actually played like much more gritty, much darker. Like, give me some bloodshot eyes, give me some tears, give me the Joker, give me like, I just felt like I would have been so much more invested in that whole. I zoned out so badly in that scene, and I just thought
it felt like
this is so flat.
It felt like to me what. I mean, I may be wrong, but personally, I think this has come about especially because of films like the Harley Quinn stuff with Margot Robbie, like the Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix, which I didn't like, but that's for another. I didn't particularly like, but that's another story. But it's that kind of like, we'll make a film about the villain as the protagonist. But the thing is, I mean, the Suicide Squad film, I haven't seen the new one. But the original Suicide Squad film with Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn was dog shit. But the thing about that film that everyone remembers was Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, because she was the best thing about that film, and she was fun. She was like a little bit like she was like kind of scary at times. She embraced that sort of madness about the character.
Madness with humanity. She did it so well.
And humour as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the direction they were trying to head in with this film. They were like, we'll do Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, but with Cruella de Vil. And that will be... And that's why they've cast Emma Stone, because she can do like humour, but she can be serious at the same time. But they didn't embrace it. They didn't like... go 100% along that route, and obviously they can't go like R-rated or
we can't see her like tearing out people's throats with her teeth because it is a children's film, but that's kind of what we wanted.
But it felt like, when she was being Cruella and she was being mean in inverted commas, and then you had like Jasper and Horace being like, oh, she's being so mean, and it kind of and it felt like she was never that mean. Like she was never. It felt like it felt put on. It would be a bit like if you suddenly turned up with split tone hair and were like, yes, I'm mad now. I'd be like, well, you're not though, are you? Like, you know what I mean? Like it didn't.
They'd be like, go and get the dogs. I'm very busy.
It wasn't
You'd
convincing.
be like, you're so mean.
It wasn't convincing. Like it just didn't.
Yeah.
And
like,
she was never that mean. Like even when they backed out of her killing the Dalmatians and used them as a coat for a start. I don't know if she was supposed, like in one version of the script, she actually did it. And then someone at Disney was like, can we do that anymore? I don't know.
It's not the 90s anymore.
Yeah, everyone's vegan now.
Close.
Do you know what confused me? Sorry. I know we were wrapping up, but I've just thought of something else. That sequence where she is wearing the coat that looks like it's made of the Dalmatians, and Emma Thompson's in the window above, and she goes,
killed my dogs and made a coat.
Thank you very much. And they keep cutting to Jasper, who is playing the guitar.
Looked hot though, didn't he?
Yeah. And he looks really uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, but I took that as because he was just like, I'm not about this,
'Cause she's
Cruella. I'm not
mean.
about this. You've been so mean, telling us to do stuff and not saying
But if she
thank
had
you.
killed the dogs, then that would have been a turning point. It's like, oh, she was a little bit mean before. Now she's gone fully psycho because she's actually killed the Dalmatians.
Right, okay. I think what you're struggling with, and this is my big struggle with this film as well, is that we love complex female characters. We love to see them. We like to get in there. We like understanding the motives of villains. Like, we like complex storylines and characters. And this was just so vanilla. And so it was just people saying what they wanted us to be feeling rather than like letting us get there on our own. So saying like, she's so mean.
And it's like,
or,
is she? She's not that mean. She's
yeah,
kind of
or
fine.
Like, just all of this stuff. Like, we were just supposed to be going along with this plot line, whereas actually like they should have just done less, like, I guess less signaling.
I think you're right. It's just vanilla. Vanilla is the word.
But again,
Cruella vanilla.
Children's film narratives, right? They tell you like, she's so cruel, or like, oh, gosh, he's a bit dishy. Like all of that sort of stuff is for kids to go,
No, but children
Like-
are smarter than that. And that's what annoys me. You can do more complex things in a children's film than people believe you can. They don't need people to go, she's mean, to get that she's mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and actually I reckon
If
like
we
as
actually
a
saw
kid,
her do something mean, then we'd get it.
I probably would have seen this film as a kid and gone, oh, she's very stressed. They killed her mum.
Yeah.
You know, I would have been like, she's having a really hard day. And actually, now that I have lived my life with horrible bosses most of the way through this movie, I was like, yeah, you steal her dogs. You do that.
Emma Thompson was horrible. And at no point did people go, Emma Thompson's mean. Because
Well,
they didn't need to.
yeah. I'm sorry, Cruella. It just wasn't. It wasn't for us. Good luck in the second one. I will not be coming. And yeah, Disney, hit me up if you need some dogs because I can make that happen. I know an excellent golden retriever.
If Paddington was in
That's my dog's name, by the way, guys.
Cruella 2, then
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
He needs. I
He's
mean,
a good dog.
So I actually tell people when people ask me on walks how old he is, I change his age depending on how well behaved he is. So some days I'm like, oh, he's 2. Terrible 2, still in training. And then other times if he's been a bit better, I'll be like, yeah, he's 5. He's doing really well. So if he's had a good sort of time of being 5 years old, maybe I'll put him forward for movies. But right now it's too much of a financial risk.
Would you like to know, Elsa, what we will be watching next week?
I'm dying to know.
Okay. So we've got 3 cast members as always.
Crew members, hello.
Crew members, not cast members.
Oh, wrong podcast.
Wine. We've got 3 crew members.
And I do the picking today.
You can do the picking today. So we have. I'm going to murder this pronunciation, so I apologise.
Oh, why did you pick someone that you can't pronounce? It's a beast of your own making.
Gina Dioquino,
Okay. Italian.
casting assistant. Mm-hmm. Hugh Brunt, conductor, as part of the music department.
I get that. Yeah, thank you.
I very nearly read out the film, so I was.
Don't do that.
Or Tim Dean, the head technician of the camera department.
Ooh. Tim Dean.
Tim Dean. Okay.
Oh no. What is it?
So therefore, we will be watching the sci-fi action thriller starring Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise, Edge of Tomorrow.
Ooh, I've never seen it, but I know that she does this like incredible plank thing and her arms look amazing.
I've never seen it either, so that'll be fun because it's supposed to be quite good. So,
I love Emily Blunt all day, every day. Wow. Okay.
So
yeah, I
there
feel
you
good
go.
about that.
so there you go. Edge of Tomorrow. Join us next time. I was trying to
We'll
think
see you next week.
you know what I was trying to do there? I was trying to think of like a way of incorporating the title of the film, but then I realized the podcast doesn't go out the next day. So I couldn't say like join us tomorrow, the edge of tomorrow, you know, I couldn't do that, so it didn't work.
No, you probably just cut this whole bit out. Probably.
I probably will. Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening. This is
And-
Cruise Next. Give us a follow, give us a like, and join us next week.
Share it with your friends.
Share it with your dogs.
Yeah, especially
CGI
your
and
dogs.
real ones. And join us next week for Edge of Tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.